Hello.
I
Have
was,
a little dance there.
I was like, what is this?
It's quite catchy, isn't it?
I
Excellent.
love that.
Ethan, thank you for coming on. Really
You're more. I'm glad to be here.
excellent. Right, so everyone, meet Ethan. Me and Ethan have met briefly on a video chat not long ago at all. And we discussed a few things which we'll get into a bit later on. But I straight away on that chat, I've got to be honest, Ethan, I knew immediately that I needed to get you live on my channel. And we spoke quite well. We got on. You seem a really upbeat, lovely character. And I just thought, great fit. I need to get you on and have a chat about this. So thank you for agreeing to do it. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I was like, I'm new to the community. I want to meet people, and what better way to meet people than to go live? So
Excellent. Appreciate it. We're going to have some lovely people in the chat. So there's already we've got Kit Kat, we've got Zakir, we've got Russell, we've got Wayne, we've got Nigel, we have Paul. So yeah, we've got Scott. So hello everybody. Right. So firstly, then Ethan, what we'll do is we'll just get to know you a little bit first, because I don't know an awful lot about you either. I know you've just told me you're from Arizona.
mhm.
So nice and warm there. Not jealous at all. So do you want to tell us a little bit about, really, firstly, yourself, where you've come from, where you've grown up, your career so far, and then we'll get into a little bit more about the brand afterwards.
For sure. So a little bit about me. I am 25. I don't look it, but I'm 25. I prefer when people call me 30, but I'm actually only 25. I was born in South Carolina. I moved a lot growing up, so I've seen a lot of the U.S. I've seen a lot of the world. I've lived in 6 different states here in the U.S. So I lived in South Carolina. I've lived in Arkansas, Minnesota, Iowa, Atlanta, and also here in Arizona now, which is where I live, where I relocated. So my background, I'm a bit of a character. I've been an entrepreneur. I've worked in tech. I've worked in. I'm a sommelier. I think we talked about that a little bit earlier. So hey, Taffy, I've definitely done a bit of work in some odd jobs. I used to work in fine dining. So I've worked in really, really, really high end restaurants. So I'm very used to dealing with high-end clientele, meeting millionaires, billionaires, serving them food, all of that. But in more specific, serving them wine, which is what kind of brought me to the fragrance world. Is I've always, since I was a kid, I've always been just infatuated with the nose. And my friends are like, "You're weird. You're super weird. Why do you like noses?" And I'm like, it's not as much the nose as much as like of all the things in the world that have not been developed. Uh, our olfactories is the one technology that we haven't built technology for. It's the one device in our body that's not advanced as human beings. And I just love the idea of thinking, and I posted about it on my Instagram. I love the idea of making innovations in areas that are very simple. One, because it's very easy to make innovation. It's a simple, your nose, your sight, your senses, they're very simple things, but there's something special about making a big change in a very small area. Um, and so I for one am a person who's always been interested in like olfactory technology. I used to tell my friends, it'll be really cool when I can take my phone and I can go, you know what? I want Tony to smell roses today. And I'll take my phone and I'll send you a bunch of roses in the morning, and it sends a puff out and you can smell the roses, and that's how you wake up, or I can send that to my wife or future wife or whoever it is, and that's where I want the world to get. But I realized working in wine that there's a very large lack of education on scents and accords and smells, and it broke my heart. So I thought, what better than I left the restaurant industry maybe 2 months ago and decided, you know what, I'm going to make this my full-time gig. I want to make fragrances for people. I love seeing people receive my fragrances and smile. I always try to post their reviews, their information, the good and the bad. You'll be seeing in a couple of days, I had a bad review, my first one. And I love to be honest about it because everything's about growing. And it was one of my best friends in the world. And I'm excited to hear, I sent him a new fragrance because he didn't enjoy the first one. And I'm excited to hear how much how much he loves it. So the second one, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah,
Okay.
that's a bit about me.
Well, tell us a little bit about, in terms of fragrances. You said you've always been interested in the nose, and that's not staring at people's noses, by the way, people. Um, I think growing up, would you say that what do you remember being your first experience of fragrances?
That's a good question. So I think growing up for me, my first experience, so my mom, actually no, I can even go back as far as probably my grandmom. My great grandmother lived in Alabama, and it wasn't a good experience, and I'll be honest with that. My 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 thanks, Taffy. My great grandmom used to have this chicken farm in her. It's not big. It was a little small place down in Bessemer, Alabama. It's a really like small, not a super nice place kind of to grow up. And I didn't live there. We would just go back and visit. And I remember always going in her backyard, and these chickens were always walking around, and they would, they'd peck at you, or they're wild chickens, not wild, but she didn't have a farm. They're just in her backyard, and she raised them and would use them and cook them and things like that. But they weren't they weren't like domesticated chickens by any means. They would jump over the fence and roam the town. And there was just this awful, awful smell of chicken poop everywhere. And so I think my first experience with like a smell that's super, super memorable probably goes back to that, and thinking, man, this sucks. Like I hate being here and smelling chicken poop every time I come to my great grandmom's to her house. And I remember, so my grandmom on my father's side, I guess this is a couple years after, we would go to her place in it does, it smells vile. I would go to my dad's mom's, she had an actual farm, and we would go to her farm, and she didn't raise like cattle. She had like a she had what is it called, more like grain and things like that. So she didn't have any animals out there, but she always had this wood, like this like open flame disposal. And I don't know if in the US, I don't know if it's what's the word? I don't know if it's legal anymore, but she used to burn her trash out back. And I remember going out there and just throwing this huge bonfire with my grandmom on my father's side. And we would take wood, and we would take, like different boxes and things that she definitely just like gotten rid of. And we would just throw them in there and light a flame. And I think that to me became just such a memorable note. I think even in my life today, and I think I told you about how I got the idea to start the company. I love peaty, smoky, scotchy smells, and that still resonates for me. So
you chuck the chicken and you combine that with the fire. You get
then we can have dinner. It does smell like dinner.
So in terms of fragrance, then, in terms of like aftershaves, or I just referred to it as aftershave then, which is a bit of a laugh, because in the UK, aftershave is what we would have called as I'm a southern person in the UK, and I would have referred as aftershave as fragrance. That would have been my name for male fragrance, effectively.
Okay.
As I've got more into this, I still sort of try and use fragrance as much as I can, but I've just reverted straight back to aftershave there. But in terms of fragrance for you, what was your earliest memory of owning something for yourself?
Yeah, for in that regard, I'd say it was my dad. He gave me maybe like 4 or 5 hand-me-downs that he had when I was in high school. It was like right between me going into, I think it was like my junior or senior year of high school. And he gave me, I think it was, what's the name of it? It's Polo Ralph Lauren, but it was green. It was the Polo Ralph Lauren green. And it was the green sport, and I enjoyed it. But it was way not for me. I enjoyed wearing it because it was like, this is cool, this is cologne, this is new. And it was like, man, I'm excited to kind of like try this. But what I fell in love with eventually, my first fragrance that I absolutely love and still wear to this day, buy all the time, and will continue to buy even though I make my own fragrances, is I wear Chanel Bleu, and it's classic. It's nothing over the top. I wear Chanel Bleu, and that's my go-to. If I want to go on a date, I wear Chanel Bleu. I have a little bit of Versace. What is it? Eau Fresh, the Eau Fresh Pour Homme, and I love that. It's a nice, good like fresh thing to wear out of the shower or something like that. I'll wear it if I hop out of the shower and I just want to smell good and start my day. There's something to be said about wearing a little bit of fragrance to get your day started. For me, where if I hop out of the shower, of course I smell good. I just showered, but there's nothing like smelling great and spraying a little bit on, and it opens my senses to the world. It brightens my mood. So
perfect.
Those are kind of my go-tos.
Perfect out of the shower. We often refer in the UK, especially if you're not going out or doing something, an out of the shower fragrance would be something clean, fresh, and something sort of just a bit uplifting. And that's nothing like it when you get out of the shower to spray, especially when you're not quite fully dry either as well, just to spray a few bits on. It's nice. So is there any other fragrances that you own now that you wouldn't have like without not having your collection? Have you got a good collection yourself, would you say, or would you? And that's not, you don't, it's not a competition, by the way.
Yeah.
One fragrance, it doesn't matter. But if you've got what sort of amount and what do you usually wear now? Apart from
I've got a very small collection. I keep it small because as much as I love fragrances and love the smells, I'm actually less in love with just. It's not as much for me about collecting perfumes and colognes as much as it is about collecting actual scents of the world. So I'm very much an artist. From that perspective, I've probably got 2 colognes, 2 fragrances. I keep those, the Eau Fresh and the Bleu de Chanel. I definitely like going to the shop and smelling different things, but there's only one other smell that I'm looking for, and I'm building it for myself. And it is that scotchy, smoky, peaty smell that I mentioned earlier. And I want to build one, and I don't want to, I'll buy one eventually maybe, but I love to just build my own stuff. So for me, I don't know if I'll build out a collection of other people's fragrances, maybe down the road. But for me right now, I'm just so excited to definitely, I don't know, build my own stuff. So.
Excellent. Now, you explained a little bit about like getting into the fragrance world, and we just sort of touched on it. But because it's quite a brave thing to do, especially, I'm not being patronising here, but especially of a man of your age, I wouldn't be brave enough at my age to start doing what you're doing. So it's obviously you have this sort of entrepreneurial spirit in you that allows you to be able to just go, right, I'm doing this. So was there a moment where you thought, you know what, I need to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to do this? Or are you substituting that at the moment while you're just getting into French world with other things? Are you still working a little bit? What's the situation at the moment?
So very awesome question, because it was very much the first response. It was you know what? I'm done working for people. Like I said, I worked in fine. I think we talked about this. I might not have said on the live, but I worked in fine dining, and I was getting sick of it. I was getting tired of it. I love taking care of people, and there were some things that happened with my job that I just wasn't aligned with, and I ended up leaving. I ended up parting ways, and I said to myself, you know what? I've always been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. So for me, there's nothing new to me about going and starting a business and selling stuff. I understand all of that. I've taken classes from Università Bocconi. Italian is my second language, so I've definitely done some stuff with like luxury, fashion. That's kind of a world of mine that I'm very familiar with. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I don't want to go back to work. I'm working right now to go get a business loan. I have a decent savings. I'm a pretty fiscally responsible person. So I have a savings that can last me a couple months. And I said, these next months, I'm just going to focus on being an entrepreneur, digging into who I am, and really running with that. So there was definitely a moment where I just sat down and said, this is what I'm doing. And it worked so well. I love fragrances. I love smells. Coming from the wine world, there's nothing like sitting down to me and saying to someone, let's talk about what it is that you like, and breaking that down for them when they didn't even know they knew it. Every call that I've had, and I've had a lot of people who aren't from the fragrance community, That's the majority of my clientele so far, are people that have no clue what, what Calabrian bergamot is. And I can break it down and explain the smells. And they're like, that's what I want. That's it. That's it right there. And there's nothing like explaining that to someone and seeing like the smile on their face. And then getting that reaction when they actually get it. Because it's one thing to say, with wine, I can go, yeah, are you looking for something red or white? And then we break down red or white. Are you thinking, fruity? Are you thinking oaky? Are you thinking spice? Tell me what you're thinking. And then getting them the wine, they go, okay, this tastes good. And they taste a little bit and they're like, it wasn't quite what I wanted. But there's nothing like getting that person right on the dot. And they're like, this is my new favorite wine. And I've had that reaction from quite a few people now. So I've decided this is a full-time gig for me and this is what I want to do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the way the call went. So for everyone that doesn't know, Ethan does bespoke fragrances. That's what he's not selling fragrances so he's not directly competing with other brands that are selling fragrances. He's offering a service to allow people to make a fragrance that's for them, their own thing. And I'll let Ethan explain it in more detail. Ethan approached me on Instagram and asked if there is any way that I'd be interested in having this fragrance made for myself and to help maybe promote Ethan and get his name a little bit more out there in the fragrance community if I can. And I'll do everything I can. And then it went on from there. We had a chat on the phone. I filled a form in. So what I'll do, I'll rewind a little bit. I'm probably moving a little bit ahead. So in terms of you explaining your own details, there's no website at the moment, is there? I don't think. Is that in production?
The website is a landing page. You can go to MOI Fragrances. So moi, I guess probably some of this clientele probably speaks French. Some of your followers here in England, they might speak a little French. Here in the US, it's not as prominent, even though half our language is French. But moi, it's moifragrances.com. There's a landing page for it. There's actually a link right beneath where it says pre-subscribe. You can click that link, and that's basically all I'm doing right now. There will be a website coming soon, closer to launch, that'll have more information about who I am, what we do, all of that. But yeah, I guess a little bit about what it is that we're doing. Thank you, Katie. Customized fragrances. And I saw earlier someone asked, do I ship to the UK? I am working on it. I'm probably going to run at somewhat of a loss on the shipping, but I think there's value in being able to offer a service, even if it means I'm running at a loss, if I'm running at a profit in other areas. And that's just me being completely honest and being straightforward. I definitely will find a way to ship abroad. And like I told you, Tony, I'm going to find a way to get your fragrance over there. That's just who I am. When I make a promise, I'm known to keep it. So a bit about me and what the fragrance is and what it is that we're doing. So Moi Fragrances came from me sitting around, and I was like, man, I just left my job and I might go back to the restaurant industry, but I was shopping, to be honest. And I said, what is it that I want to buy? Which is not a smart idea when you don't have a job. But I was like, I really want to go find, and so that this is handled and completely done, this smoky, peaty fragrance. And I said, I was just going to go buy it. And I'm sitting there, and my friend's next to me. He's like, why are you buying cologne when you need to be searching for a job? And I was like, I don't know, man. I've got time. I don't really want to go back to work quite yet. And this is kind of what I've been looking for, so I can freshen up. And I just like to have certain things accomplished so I can move forward into new me, new smell, new look, all of that, cut my hair, all kinds of stuff. And he goes, all right, well, what is it that you're going to get? And I was looking for that peaty, smoky smell. And I said, you know what? I can't find it. I'm sick of this shit. Quite honestly, I'm sick of it. I'm just going to build it. And he was like, you don't know how to make fragrances. And immediately I looked it up, went to a website, watched I took like 3 hours sitting there just watching different things. And I told him, I said, yeah, dog. And he's there hanging out, working on some other stuff. I said, look, I figured out how to do this. I'm going to build it. And he said, well, if you build one, will you build me one? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, he's like, I'll pay you for it. It's like, that's a business. And immediately I was like, this is everything I've kind of been looking for. In terms of just like I used to work in tech. I was a tech entrepreneur for a while, and it was very awesome working with like subscriptions and things like that. And we did a lot of data work, and I was just like, in terms of what it is that I'm doing, this is so much more of an art than it is a science, which is where my heart lies. It's so much more attached to the things that I already love, like food and wine and culture. I speak a bunch of different languages. It just is so attached to that. And he goes, well, okay, cool. So you're going to start a cologne brand. All right. It says everyone who wants to start like a fashion line or something like that. He's like, what are you going to call it? And I was like, you know what? I want to call it like moi. And he's like, why not moi même? It's like, well, moi même is too long. It's too much. I was like, I want to call it moi because it's me. It's like it's your fragrance. You get to build it. You get to select what goes into it. When you wear it out and someone smells you, they can go, what are you wearing? You can say, I'm wearing moi. I'm wearing me. Like, this is my fragrance. And that really became the depth of like what it is that I wanted to do. And I just ran with it. So Moi fragrances, like you said, we create bespoke luxury fragrances. I see a lot of people saying, hey, can you build me this? Can you build me that? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. I do it all on subscription. So that is the one kind of caveat. And I do it on subscription only because I've seen other companies that do this. And one of their fail points is that when you get too many bespoke experiences in, you can't handle it time-wise. It's very labor intensive. So everything that I build, I'm building it with premium luxury fragrance oils. I'm working on even going right now and doing like perfumery classes. I'm considering relocating to France, possibly. Put your fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes. That's a couple years out, maybe a couple months. We'll see. But I want to go do perfumery school. And sit down and actually learn how to work with raw materials. I've been talking to a couple people on Instagram about where they're taking, who they're apprenticing with, things like that. But I want everything to be quality. I want it to be premium. So I do it on subscription. You get a new fragrance custom built every quarter. It definitely is it's a fun experience. And you've been through it, Tony. I sit down, you can go to my Instagram, you can click on the link that's in my bio, or you can go to my website. That subscription basically is a pre-subscribed form, and you fill that out. Once you fill that out, I give you a call, and it's supposed to be 15 minutes. I've never had a 15-minute call, but it's supposed to be a quick 15-minute call where we can sit down and talk about what it is that you actually want. So, the form asks you, do you want smoky, woody, earthy, aromatic, floral, citrus, fruity? It asks all those basic high-end questions so I can understand what it is that you want. It asks you a little bit about what's the word? It asks you a little bit about like what fragrances you currently have. I'll be straightforward. I use Fragdicted to basically understand what notes and what scents are in that. And then once I've broken down those scents and notes, it gives me a good idea. It's like being a sommelier. It gives me a good idea. What wine do you like? Oh, you're looking for red. Okay. Do you like things that are oaky? Okay, you like oaky. What wines do you normally drink? Oh, you're a big fan of, I don't know, Chateau Montelena, which is a big California brand. I personally don't like it, but I know a decent amount about it. Okay, maybe I can find you something similar to Chateau Montelena or something with the same notes that are in it. And that's what I use Fragrantica for in the fragrance world. I go, okay, you like Chanel Bleu. There's vanilla, there's coumarin, there's oriental spices. Let me take some of those core-based things that you like, because that's what you're going to smell. That's what your nose detects right off the bat, is the things that it loves. And let me mix that with something and create it your own. So that's kind of my process. Is it's very intimate. It takes a decent amount of time. And I want to be able to do it multiple times with everyone that basically goes through the process. So you get for $80, you get a new fragrance custom made every quarter. I only charge by the quarter, so it's every quarter after that. Going deeper into the moi experience, it is your fragrance. So every unique formula that I build for you comes with a QR code where anyone who enjoys your fragrance can scan that QR code and you'll get a referral commission of 10% back. So if you have 10 friends that love your fragrance, they can get one-offs of your fragrance and earn a commission. And it's for every order. So it's nothing like a sign up and be a brand ambassador. It's your fragrance. So that's a bit about us.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic idea. I didn't know about the price. I've not asked you about the price at all. I think it's a little bit rude in the first bit, but I'm glad you got into that, because it was going to be a question, and people in the chat are obviously going to want to know. I've seen a few people mention it. Their interest has been piqued. I think $80, I think, per fragrance, I think is very reasonable. What size would you get for that roughly? What size is the fragrance?
It's a 30 milliliter bottle with 25 milliliters in it. So it's a bottle like this. I'm going to be getting new bottles. These are the old ones that I had before. And yeah, it'll be a decent amount. I mean, 25 milliliters worth of fragrance oil will probably last you a year or so. The idea is to help you build a collection. I want people to say, I have a collection of my own fragrances. For 2 years out, I take all of your formulas. Once you get to the second year of being on subscription, I take all your formulas and I throw them out. And the reason I do that is because it makes it exclusive. It becomes your exclusive fragrance that nobody else can order but you.
So what I really like about it is obviously one of the I think it's a great business idea as well, great business model where you're offering this 10% code. Now I sound like a salesman here, but with my salesman hat on a moment, that's what I do for a living anyway. Yeah. If I subscribed and I paid the £80, and then in that next quarter, 5 people asked me if I'm going to, if they could buy their fragrance, and then they approach you, and that's another, you're going to get 10% of their £80. Is that how it works effectively?
Yeah. So the way it works is if you have, it sounds about right, but I just want to make sure we're saying the same thing. If you buy a fragrance from me on subscription, let's say you go, okay, I've got the Tony Spring 2021, and I build that formula out, and someone specifically likes your Tony Spring 2021, the only one-offs, like I don't do individual fragrances. The only individual fragrances that I will sell are ones for people who have already created their fragrance. So let's say I go up to you and I go, hey, I like Tony 2021 for spring. Tony, can I get your fragrance? And you go, yeah, of course, man. That's flattering. You know, you appreciate the way I smell, of course. So they scan your QR code, and it brings them right to a link where they can purchase your formula, basically, and you will get a 10% commission as Tony, and they'll pay the $80, so the £80 basically for that fragrance, and you'll get $10 of it.
Yeah, but the thing is with that, you're the person that's obviously signed up to the subscription is getting the best deal because they're getting the fragrance that's made for themselves, and also that might bring you other customers. They might think, oh, actually, I really like Tony's fragrance. I'd like to make my own. And hopefully, it just builds a nice bunch of people. And you're dealing. I mean, what have you thought about, like limits of how many people you're going to be able to deal with per quarter? Because that must be quite daunting.
Yes, so 350 people is kind of my break point. I've got a lot of numbers that I've been working out, and I have to work them out because I'm going to take a business loan out to do some of this stuff pretty soon. And every 350 people, I pretty much will need to I'll need to hire someone. There's no way in hell that I can handle anything more than 350 people. Before launching, I posted on my Facebook, and just amongst my friends, I had maybe, I don't know, 10 bottles at my house that I was like, okay, cool. I'll make some custom fragrances for friends just to test, just to practice making them. And I got 50 orders right off the back.
Wow.
So I sold out immediately, got more bottles after getting those 50 orders, got 10 or 20 more orders, and I'm sitting here like, I don't have enough bottles, guys. I'm sold out. And I had to just announce it. I love this. I love what I'm doing, but I can't keep up. I'm calling it sold out right now. You'll have to wait until spring for launch. And that was the best feeling in the world. But I knew it took me 3 days, and I did nothing but sit in the same seat that I'm sitting in, play music in the background, and build fragrances for maybe 3 or 4 hours straight each day. And I got through all 50 orders in 3 days. So if that's the case, I can expand that out over 2 weeks, and that would get me right around, 350 people. But I've also got a business to run, so I can't sit around personally all day and build fragrances. And at that 350 mark, it becomes kind of a bit too much for one individual to handle.
Yeah. So that's going to be a great point. Now, in terms of, I think people in the chat are liking this idea because I've not seen anything, a business model quite the same in the fragrance world. Not yet. I've seen a lot of people offering bespoke fragrances, but not on a subscription. Now, in terms of the subscription as well, what I think is probably quite important to ask you and to see what I think I'm probably going to know the answer. So I make one fragrance and I'm happy with the fragrance, and then that's it. I know that's not your ultimate aim, but there's no tie-ins or anything like that in terms of how that works.
Nope. You know, I thought about it. A couple of my friends said, why don't you have people pay for the subscription up front for the year so that you can't have that? And I'm sure an investor probably would say the same. But as I mentioned to you, I'm very much tied to the idea of being true to the community. I'm new to the community, and to me, I feel like it's a scam to charge someone $320 for one fragrance if I'm not offering something that's, you know, like a Francis Kirk Dijon, or, you know, something that's up there. It could very much be your new Francis, you know, your new MFJ, like it could, or MFK. It could be. I don't know. Some people have come to me. I had a good friend who's very, very successful. He wears a lot of Creed. He wears a lot of, he's got some MFK, and he's like, you know what? Ethan, your fragrance is my new one. This is all I'm going to wear now. And he purchased up front an entire year's worth. And he's 90% of why I sold out. But the thing for me is I don't want to scam people and say, you know, pay all up front, and if you get one, you get one. I'd rather you pay the $80, and if you want to stay on subscription, you stay on subscription. If you don't, then I get it. But I also feel if I come to people with that kind of respect, they'll also somewhat respect the idea that this is a subscription service. And that's kind of what I want it to present itself as. To me, this is it's a business, but it's also something that I enjoy and starting to fall in love with. So
yeah, it's one of the reasons I got you on was because I really enjoyed the process, and not only were you nice and kind and polite and friendly, smiley, all lot I want to deal with in life, especially with people that are dealing with the public on a day-to-day basis. No, that's not always the case. So it was a pleasure to deal with you. And you know what? One of the things I'll talk you through the process that I went through with Ethan, just to give the chat an idea from a customer's perspective of what happened to me and how the process was. So Ethan obviously approached me on Instagram and said, would I be interested in having a fragrance made for me? Straight away, we get a lot of junk, Ethan. We get a lot of, I do anyway, I get a lot of things that I'm not following up on. It'll go into my inbox and Instagram where it's on others, so you don't read them all. Then eventually you'll get through them. And you're one that I looked at immediately. I thought, oh, okay, there could be something in this. And you've got to make a decision. So I was like, right, okay, accept, follow brand. Let's have a look into this. And we spoke a little bit. And then what happened after that was Ethan got me to fill out a form. It's a web link. It's very easy to do. The web link is actually on Ethan's bio on Moir Fragrances. So I've linked the Instagram page below, and all you have to do is follow. You don't even have to follow, but if you could follow Ethan, give him some support, that'd be awesome. And then you just basically click the link, and there's no, at this point, I don't think there's going to be, if you're not enjoying the process, then I think you're going to part ways. But from my point of view, I enjoy the process, which is why I've brought you on. And I thought there'd be a few people that might be interested in this. So what happened next was Ethan invited me to a phone call. So that's what would happen. Actually, Ethan, that went a little bit wrong. You couldn't find me on WhatsApp. So we decided to have a video call, which I actually, personally, not everyone's going to want to do that. I've just got home from work. And actually, for me personally, I really enjoyed that part of the process. I got to see you. I got to talk to you as if I was in the same room as you. And we had a chat about what I like, what fragrances I like, what I like in a fragrance, how you think I would want it to smell. And I think you asked all the right questions. And obviously I haven't received anything yet. It's going to be a little while, and Ethan's got to figure a way to get it over to me. But I really enjoyed the process. And straight away, that's why I offered you on, because I thought if we can offer that to other people, I think you'll do well. And people will enjoy talking to you, I think. So that's what happened to me. And I'm quite happy. I don't remember all the notes, but I'm quite happy to talk about what we discussed. If you've got anything, I should have asked you to do this, but if we've got anything to hand, I'm quite happy to talk about what
yours was?
Yeah, what I wanted.
Let's see. Give me one moment. I'm going to leave and come back. I have to go grab. I thought I had it next to me, but apparently not. My book of formulas. Give me 10 seconds.
No problem. Hello, everybody in the chat. So thanks for being with us. It's really appreciate you being here. Yeah, sorry, the glasses, just to explain, I wear contacts all the time, and then every so often I've got to take contacts out. So you won't often see me with glasses on. Just thought I'd better explain that. Who will be
We've got the books.
Taffy, Becca. Thank you, Becca. Thanks for following him. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I saw that. Thanks, Becca. Thanks, Jonathan. I saw a couple people in here saying I can't seem to comment for whatever reason, but thank you guys. I don't have a bar where I can type, it looks like, or I'd respond. He's a narco.
Thanks, Brian.
I love it.
And my baby blues are not down to my contacts. Thank you, Kit Kat. No. Coloured contact lenses. No. Thanks, Kit Kat. Appreciate it.
I love Daniel. I watched you guys stream, and I just thought, I was like, I like this guy. I reached out to him, and I was like, we'll get in touch at some point. But after watching you guys stream and seeing comments like that, me and him chatted for a little bit. You're funny. It looks like he traffics coke from Colombia.
I think he is. Brian's a good guy. He's fantastic and a fantastic member of the community. So you won't go wrong. So, well, thanks. Appreciate it, love. Cheers.
I've got your secret sauce here. Actually, I shouldn't show it on video because it might have someone else's secret sauce too. But this is my book of formulas.
I really don't.
Say what?
I wouldn't have mentioned this if I didn't mind. So I really don't mind. I think people that watch me get an idea for what I like anyway. Mm-hmm. So this might sort of give them an idea of what I'm interested in, and I'm quite happy to run through what notes we suggested. I really am.
Absolutely. I just lost it. There we go. All right. So for Mr. Tony here, we had a eau de parfum. So that was 20% concentration of oil. You talked to me. We talked a lot. We talked about a lot of different things. You had Dior Homme Intense, you had Tobacco Intense, we had Japonais, Chanel Allure, Sport. So I had a lot, Aventus. I had a lot to work with in terms of being able to narrow down what fragrance smells, what accords it sounds like you really enjoy. And I think we talked about that. And you have a wide array, but there's some very key things that kept popping up in that area. And if I remember right, you said, so you wanted something not too heavy. You don't like oud. You wanted something light and not overly done. It was very, very core to have like that citrus and oriental smells. I think were the two things we honed in on. So what we came up with was in your head notes having a little mandarin orange, some orange blossom, a little bit of iris. In your base notes having some vanilla, some benzoin, a little white musk. So a little bit of that animalic, that gourmandy, like sweet gourmand almost smells, almost still oriental spicy. And then in your heart notes, having a little bit of cinnamon, some amber, some sweet tobacco, and then I see here almond as well. So very much like a warm thing to wear for night. I think your wife was there when we were talking, and I was like, this is something for a date. And sure enough, you had put something for love, but something casual, something still relaxed, but a nighttime cologne. Or perfume, I guess, in this situation. And that was what we came up with. We kept talking. We talked about the live stream. I've got on here, you wanted something sweet with, can't read that. That's my own handwriting. Sweet with spices, tobacco. I remember we pulled a bunch of different notes from the other things. Like we have Xerjoff on here. We had Aventus, like I said, Japonais, and we just took a lot of that stuff. Uh-oh. He's gone. Well, I guess we'll wait for him to come back. And I'll read through some of these comments while he's getting himself back on here. Let's see. Let's go towards the top. Let's see what we have here. I saw someone say, will I ship to New Zealand? I'll find a way to ship to New Zealand as well as to the UK and to Europe. Like I said, I'll probably run that at a loss for a bit, but I'd much rather have happy, enjoying people as part of this experience than, all people just from the US. I think what makes it kind of luxurious is to have people abroad. Welcome back.
No, sorry. No, sorry.
According to Brian, I'm assuming you probably had to go, drop off a pound of cocaine or something like that. That's what you were doing.
Well, it's literally my internet just went out.
No worries.
Luckily, it came back very quickly. So sorry about that. Thank you for staying where you were. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I just started reading through some of these comments just to see if I could reply to people. So, did you hear everything that I said for your fragrance?
No, I didn't hear it, but it's fine. I didn't hear the notes. I cut off just before the notes, I think.
Okay. Well, the notes, we did cinnamon, sweet tobacco, almond. We had a little bit of amber. You wanted something citrus and oriental. You had vanilla, benzoin, white musk, so that animalic gourmand notes as well. And then in your head notes, we had mandarin, orange, a little orange blossom, and then iris. So something nice, citrusy, oriental, not too powdery, kind of light and fresh still. I remember we talked about having something for like a date night, and your wife was there, and she was commenting about like, I have to like it. And I was like, okay, that's pretty important. so yeah.
I'm surprised she's not here, actually. I think she's been putting her daughter to bed. So she's got back to school tomorrow for the little ones tomorrow.
What?
Yeah, back to school. So yeah, it's a good time. My wife's off work tomorrow, so she's looking forward to having a day of peace. But she was in the room with us, and I said, Bex, what do you think about this? And she was just like, no, the word that she actually used, it needs to be sexy, is what she said.
Yeah.
If we're going on a date now.
Yeah.
I think that took out some of the citrus notes and added some deeper notes to it, didn't it? So it's I said I don't like things too dark and deep, and then we start picking things like benzoin. We start making it a bit deeper. But hey, we made it probably a bit lighter by putting the orange blossom iris and mandarin in there as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
So Jonathan, Ethan's based in Arizona.
So I'm based in the U.S. in Arizona.
Excellent. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to what you come up with and getting my nose on it. And you know what? As a sort of, I hate to say this word, but sort of fragrance influencer, if you like. There's a lot of influencers at the moment that have been creating their own, that have the opportunity to release their own fragrance. I don't know if you've seen that, Ethan, or if you know of any of them. So some of the big people that you'll come across are people like Jeremy Fragrance. He's got his own brand. That is his own brand. And then there's other people as well, people like Red Lesson. They've had a backer, they've had someone approach them to build. He's from the Middle East, and he's basically said they've given him free reign to pick perfumers, and just get the fragrance to launch. And there's been about 3 different people now that have had those fragrances made for them or done for the public. So I have no interest in that for quite some time. Eventually down the road, I'll probably like to do something. One of my good friends, Scott, has just released his own fragrance, literally just, and it's being released to the public soon. He's got details coming. So as someone that's really into fragrance, how can I not be interested in picking notes out and getting a taste for what I want to create and whether it works or not? So it's I'm really looking forward to trying it. I really am. I'm waffling.
Oh yeah, I'm excited, and like I think the cool thing to me is like I've been reaching out to different influencers because my biggest thing is as I grow my company, I want this to be very much based in like what's the word, like success lifestyle. That's where I come from as a person. I'm a very motivated person. I've seen it all through the chat. I'm very ambitious for my age. There's not many people who I hang out with that aren't in that same mindset. So we share things all the time about, you know, what's keeping you motivated, what's keeping you going, where's your drive at. And I think for me, I want this to definitely be not just a brand for people that are in the fragrance community, but a brand for people that are looking to brand themselves as successful, or brand themselves as, you know, the guy that bought everything up front. His name's Roy. He'll have no problem with me saying this on the call or anything. He's very interested in finding ways to help me grow. And he's a vice president of a very large company. I won't list all of that information and talk too in detail about it. But he's a very young, ambitious person. He's one of those people that I consider in that group of people that I talk to. And what really clicked for me is he's not just in love with the fragrance, he's in love with the brand and the idea. And I thought it was very important, though, if I'm going to build a fragrance brand, that I stay true to the fragrance community. So I've tried to reach out to different influencers just so I can have an ear on what's happening. I think that's more important than being, you know, a Chanel or Dior and saying, hey, we only build for these luxurious people, or you know, you have that clientele at that point that they're purchasing your product, but they're purchasing a product for a mass market. I'm not looking to be, if anything, I would rather be niche than luxury in this situation. So I think it's very important for me to be in touch with the people who are, what would I say, not just connoisseurs, but almost experts on what it is to have a fragrance, what it is that they're looking for. And that's kind of my kind of reason for reaching out.
Excellent. We've got Bex. Bex is my wife, by the way.
Hey!
She's actually joined us. She's managed to get on. She did say that she's going to try and get on. It all depended on how easily my daughter went to bed. So she's obviously been able to jump on. So thanks for joining us, Bex. So we've talked about. Let's talk a little bit about the future. What are your hopes and dreams? So you said that you've got a limit of what you'd like to get to, but it sounds like you're very open to employing more people if that got too big. So is that the dream? Is to grow this worldwide and see where it goes?
Absolutely. So I think my big dream is I would love, and I tell people I build fragrances that tell stories, and I want my story kind of to reflect that when I build my fragrances down the road. I want to eventually have, outside of the bespoke experience, 6 fragrances that are like classics. You can just purchase them as one-offs. I think that's very important just for sustainability purposes for me. But I think for me, what I want is just as much as I want to tell other people's story, I want my fragrances to be able to tell my own story. Great. Oh, I love it, Jonathan. Thank you. That's the goal. And so I want to build a line of 6 fragrances that are just, I've already got kind of some ideas of what they'll smell like. I've got names. It was funny. I was watching this interview of Francis Kirkdejan, and I come from the tech world and also come from the screenwriting world. I told you I did a lot of odd jobs growing up. I used to write films and plays and movies and all kinds of things just for fun. And one of the things that I always start with is, he starts with the name. He goes, I start with the name of the fragrance and I build it from that. And I start with the story and then I give a name to it. So for me, I said, let's come up with different stories of my life that I want to tell, and then let's make names for them. Or on the reverse, for some of them, I've got an idea of how I want I've got an idea of what I want the name to be, but I want the name to just in itself tell the story. And so that's kind of where I landed. But in the future, so six fragrances that tell my story. The bespoke experience obviously will still remain. I think that's what I want the core of the company to still be. But I'd love to have a boutique store, like a boutique shop somewhere in, like, I don't know, Paris, or I'm actually, this is weird. I just made a very interesting investment. It was more of a donation. I'm a co-chatelain right now of a castle in France. And it was a very weird, it's not a lot of money. It was like $90, 90 pounds, something like that, to just, it's like a crowdfunding thing. And I said, you know what? I'd love to have my perfumery shop somewhere nearby that, and it's not far from Paris. It's actually in like the Loire Valley area. I say that because I'm more familiar with wine regions than I am with actual regions of France, but it's in that Loire Valley area. So I'd love to have like a shop in Paris or a shop in France, have a shop in the US, and then a shop in the Middle East, and just have those be my main 3 different pieces. I get to travel. I watched, I don't know if you've seen it. I believe the movie is called Nose. It just came out. It's about Francois Demachi.
I think, isn't it? Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it's his documentary, and I just was in love with it. He was like, "Yeah, I have to go to Indonesia to go smell the patchoulis," and I was like, "That sounds so awesome!" Like, I got to go to Calabria to go smell the fresh bergamot, and I was like, "That's what I want to do." So I'd love to eventually sit back and have, I don't see a limit on how many clients or how many people I can take on. I definitely know that, though, for me, as unrealistic as I can be sometimes, there could be a limit on how many bespoke experiences I can offer, especially knowing that at some point I can't hire every person in the world to be my perfumer. And there's a very, very small amount of perfumers in the world, I'm realizing. So it's not a very common job. Hiring people, it's not overly expensive depending on where they go. But if they're qualified and they're trained, it's pretty they can get up there in price. And so I'd love to eventually make that bespoke experience a complete luxury thing. And what I think about is everyone that's able to get in now, there's something to me about offering that experience early on that can tell a much larger story later, when it's like, man, I remember when Maison Ethan Turner, which is like the actual brand name, I remember when Maison Ethan Turner, or the fashion house, used to do bespoke experiences, and I have mine, and I still have mine left over. Yeah. But I don't know. I've every person I've talked to, I've got a couple friends who are investors that are interested in investing. I've got a couple friends who are just financially fortunate, is what I like to call them, and they're interested in investing. And the one thing they tell me is, Ethan, there's no way that you can do this all the way out to, I don't know what I would do when I have 10,000 subscribers. It just, as much as I want to, and my goal is to figure it out. Kind of like I said, when I make a promise, I try to keep it. But I also know making that promise is a very big promise. So that's kind of the future of what I see.
You mentioned Loire Valley there. Whereabouts?
Loire Valley. So let me see if I can pull it up. I am the official.
Me and my wife went on honeymoon to Loire Valley. It's a beautiful part of the world. It really is.
Oh, right.
I want to go back as well. Definitely want to go back. We went to some vineyards, which you'd be very interested in. Tell you a little bit about one of the experiences, which you'll find amazing. We been into wine as well, so this is good. This is good to have this chat. So we had this one day. We wanted to go on a vineyard tour. There's lots of vineyards all over the place where we were staying. And we approached a company to come and pick us up on that day. And the lady that she had an old mill that we were renting for the week that we were there. And she said that she would be happy she was free that day. Don't pay someone else, just pay my fuel money. Take me to dinner or lunch, and we can go to my son's restaurant. And I will take you around all the local vineyards that I use. So these vineyards, some of them were commercial, but some of them weren't. They were people that made commercial wine but didn't sell it locally to tourists. So one of the places we went to, we knocked on this old lady's house. It was a little house and a big bit of land though. And she takes us through this old, pretty scruffy house out to the back. And there's this big wooden barn, basically. Walk into this big wooden barn, and there is about 5 different big state-of-the-art vats. And when I say vats, I mean like floor to ceiling.
Oh, those vats,
Big ones. And we see pallets and pallets of wine already boxed. And we looked at one of them, and it sounded like a very posh shop in New York. And you just wouldn't have thought that of this little old lady. The lady that was showing us round, she was translating for us, and she said, "Well, we would like they'd like to try some," and they had, I think, probably only 2 varieties or something.
Mhm.
So she had none at hand to try. She weren't going to open a pallet of boxes, and this is what she done. She got a bucket. She went to one of the big vats, and she went like that.
That's awesome.
And we just went with glasses into the bucket. There you go, try that. From that, we managed to, we did buy a few off this lady, and it was a fantastic experience, and one that we'll remember forever because it was just unreal.
Yeah.
But we visited a lot of different vineyards that day, and we were quite hammered by the time we got.
I know. I bet. Man, I love it. I was considering, so like I said, I'm a sommelier, so I was very much considering this past year before quarantine, taking a month off from work and going and seeing if I could work the vineyards in Burgundy, to go out there and do that. And I've heard experiences of people that go over there and they get to do exactly what you're saying. They get to drink straight from the vat or drink straight from the barrel, and that is such an experience that is it's irreplaceable. I don't think there's many people who actually get that opportunity. Even as sommeliers, we dream to have that, like where I can go to, a vineyard and they're like, "Hey, you want to taste the stuff that's still in production?" It's like, what? Yeah, of course I do.
We couldn't believe it, honestly. It will stay with us forever as a wonderful, wonderful experience that we had, and not many people will get to do. We just right place and right time, with the right person showing us around. And you know what? That lady, that she was drinking as much wine as she was, and she was driving us about. No
Oh boy.
It was a little worrying, but we had a great day. It was fantastic. So we've talked about the dreams. We've talked about what we do. One thing that was interesting to me, I've not asked you that actually. We discussed notes that I'm interested in. You said the sort of fragrance that you tried to create for yourself. Have you had any luck with that, first of all?
I've been expanding my my perfume oil collection, or my fragrance oil collection. I think I finally have everything to build it, but I'm going to release it as one of my classics. So I've had a little bit of success. I think I've stumbled upon it. I don't want to say what's in it yet. But I have a good idea of what it is, and I'll probably make this will be my most prominent one that I'd like to sell. It'll definitely still be for men. Sorry, ladies, but it's my story. So there's going to be two men's, 2 unisex, and 2 women's.
Okay.
And so this will definitely be one of the men's, but it'll be the only one that I sell an extrait de parfum. So it'll be offered in, you can get it as a eau de toilette. You can get it as not an eau de toilette. You'll be able to get it as eau de toilette, eau de parfum, and an extrait. And then I might also sell it as a eau de cologne, but that's getting pretty difficult. I don't see that being a very a useful endeavor for this one in particular. So it'll be the only one that I'll sell as a full-on extract, where you'll have a decent percentage. Sorry, I'm pulling it up. It'll be the only one that I sell as a extrait de parfum, and then I'll sell it as a 30 milliliter, 50 milliliter, and 100 milliliter.
Fantastic. One of the questions I diverted a little bit, and Lizzie's just actually asked it, Rosa Jones. What would you say you've come across in your notes? What's been your favourite to work with? Is there anything that that when someone picks something, you go, I like working with that, this is going to smell good?
So there's a couple things. My favorite is Campfire. It's just, it goes back to that story, like I said, as a kid being at my grandmom's. It's definitely Campfire. I've got it somewhere over here, actually. This is what I'm using right now. It's from P&J. It's a fragrance oil that honestly, it's only 10 milliliters in here, but the moment I open this thing up, it will literally smell like fire in my entire room, like a smoky, woody fire for the rest of the day. It still has its cap on it. Even just from here, it's powerful. So this is my Campfire. By far my favorite thing to work with. I love citrus notes as well. So I think my favorite, and it sounds like everyone's favorite because I have to buy a lot of it, is bergamot. Yeah. I just love that nice, crisp, Like it smells like fresh squeezed lemon, but not like lemonade, just like a nice crisp spray of fresh squeezed lemon in your face. And I would say I love musk. I like animalic smells, so I like white musk. I like Egyptian musk. Those are always really good go-tos. On the more feminine and like I guess like I wouldn't even call it feminine. There's some floral and fruity smells that I really enjoy. I've really become a big fan of working with violet. Violet is like something I've just enjoyed the smell of. I'm not a big fan, surprisingly, of juniper. Don't like juniper at all. Personally, I offer it to people because I feel like they might like it when I look at their fragrances. But to me, it's a very like sour and almost like soppy smell. I don't like the smell for whatever reason. Um, I'm waiting to get my hands on some ambergris so I can figure out what that smells like too. And that will be the big determiner of things. But I'm just going through some formulas on over here to see. There were some ones that I literally said, I love yours so much that I'm going to make it. I'm not going to make it one of my classics, but I'm definitely going to incorporate a lot of what's in it into it. And it was a very, I call it like, and this isn't in no rude terms, like very juvenile smell, but it was very, it was like strawberries and violet, and it had like some like jasmine in there. It was very fruity and floral, and it sounds like a juicier fragrance, more for women, in terms of that. But I like those as well. So.
Yeah. One thing just to mention to you, we've mentioned it a couple of times. It's not a telling off or anything, but it's, I get told off a lot for it. But in the fragrance community, I know when you're dealing with friends and stuff, they'll say, right, I want it to be a man's fragrance. But in the fragrance community, you'll find that everything is pretty much unisex anyway.
Exactly.
So it's really surprised me. Becca, my wife, will go against it a little bit because she knows what she likes, and it does tend to lean a little bit feminine. But my friends in the group, especially people like Kit Kat and Lizzie and Heather, they like anything really. I think Lizzie likes leather, for example. She likes spicy fragrances. So it's one of those things. I wouldn't concentrate too much on that. I would just see what people like and not aim it towards one. Just create everything as unisex, because you'll be surprised, especially in the fragrance community. It's a lot of people like a lot of different things. Definitely.
And that's, I give everyone the option on my forum to choose. You know, some people. The main reason I offer that as a option on there is I want people to basically give me more information on the story they're trying to tell. You know, if someone goes, I want a masculine scent, I know exactly what they mean. They want something that's aggressive, basically, is usually what people are asking for. Something that's like bold. And that's not to say that a feminine scent can't be bold and aggressive as well. But usually when I sit down and I talk with a person, it gives me a better idea of what it is. But you also have the option of choosing both. And immediately when you choose both male and female, I write down unisex. I think actually I think I actually just have on the form unisex as an option. I don't even have male, female. I have just unisex. Yeah, it's just on there as an option. So I love when people click that, because this is very intimate and personal to me. My little brother is trans, and it's you know, we don't have to get into the politics of it for everyone that's on the chat, but to me, one of the future goals of mine is to build him a unisex fragrance, or to build him a male fragrance, because he transitioned from female to male. And so I've heard a lot of things about how citrus affects the body on people that are going through transition. And so it's one of my goals is to like say, hey, I should still be a conscious company. Definitely should have the offering of unisex for people that might not fit in either category. And that was more the option than it was even about offering like a male or female fragrance.
Yeah, that's great to put some thought into that area, because it's great that if you can be an advocate for that type of thing, because it's becoming bigger and bigger within the fragrance world that people need. I think it needs to, awareness of it needs to get better.
Yeah.
When you go into a department store, it's still very much categorized based on marketing as female or male. And actually, as Bex, and even Bex in the live, she's she doesn't mind that. I don't mind it. I don't mind that it's categorized at all. Because
I don't either. Yeah.
what we're finding is there are fragrances that both of us are trying that are marketed towards male or female, and we'll go the opposite and think actually it's very nice. It's not as a whole, but there are definitely 100% white things that I like that would be considered as feminine, and things that she likes would be considered as not maybe as much as her as me, but it's definitely I do like it when things aren't marketed in a way. Really do.
And even with that, I'm planning on doing. I mean, these aren't the bottles; they'll look very similar to this, though. Just doing black bottles. Black is unisex with this color. Having a black bottle, a silver top, keeping it very simple. I'll have some more elegant stuff that comes with this, but the idea is to keep it simple, keep it plain. You can't tell the color of what's inside. I don't like the idea of people. We should ban a Tinder topic on live because that's why I was like, well, we won't talk too deep about it.
Area.
Yeah. To me, I think it's very important to just give you the story in a bottle, and you don't have any preconceptions of anything outside of just the smell. So there's a part of fragrance work that I was learning about the other day that they'll color the fragrances so that it can be marketed towards a certain gender or towards a certain market. And I was like, I don't need that. I want the color to just be what it is. And then when you smell it, let the smell tell the story. That's the key of what I'm trying to do, is let the smell tell the story.
Perfect. One thing that so you mentioned about the campfire note. One of the notes that I've been more interested in recently is benzoin. I think I've cracked one of the notes that I am in love with, based on different fragrances I've worn. Our conversation the other day was quite strange because it got me into thinking, actually, what is it I like? Because when someone says to you, right, okay, tell me, what do you want in a fragrance? I might say, well, I want this or I want that. But by me giving you 5, 10 different fragrances, if you make it a bit of more of a scientific approach and you say, right, I've got 10 fragrances there. Are there similarities in the fragrances that work for me? What are the familiar notes that are popping out that I love? And it's got me thinking about it. And I think that's because I now want to smell those those aroma chemicals that are familiar to me. So things like benzoin, I need to now get my hands on raw benzoin to see if it is something that I'm recognizing in all these fragrances. I think it will be something I like. It's got me thinking. It's a really interesting process that you've done. I really do. I really am looking forward, like I said, to seeing what you come up with.
Sorry, I'm reading some of the comments. I love what CJ War Monkey just said.
I think some people.
But I'm in line with that. I think that's why I'm waiting to get ambergris. I think until I get it's far too expensive for me to get, but I don't know. I think about how they say how people find ambergris. I was watching like a documentary on what it was because I didn't really get it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's whale vomit," and then people were like, "No, it's not whale vomit. It's whale excrement. It's whale poop." And I was like, "Okay, well, how do people where do you find this?" And I heard people just walk along the shore, and they find it. And if you find it, you're one of the lucky new people who basically hit the lottery. And I was like, that's crazy. It's worth like $10,000 for like a pound of it. And I was like, it's literally whale poop. But I would love to, what I would probably do if I got some, just like you're saying, I want to get some raw materials that I know I love and just have them somewhere nearby that I can just always like smell. Just like, and you know how people put on their like work desks. Obviously you'll have pictures of your family, but just memorabilia that like reminds you of why you're doing the job you're doing. I'd love to just have those raw materials, like, I don't know, in a box or even hung up in front of my wall or whatever, of just like those. So I hear that. Excellent. And in regards to what CJ War Monkey just said, I like that motto. Let the scent tell your story. that might be something I do some I'm working on a couple of ads. Of course, it's still a business, but That might pop up in an ad now.
Write it down quick. Write it down.
Yeah. Let the scent tell your story. So simple, but so important.
No, I appreciate you coming on, Ethan. It's been really interesting to talk to you. I think it's completely. I think it's quite unique. There's a lot of people offering this bespoke service, but with this quarterly subscription that you're doing, but what I think is about right in terms of money. I think it's not unreasonable amount of money. I think people will look forward to that next quarter. It's going to be something they would, if they've enjoyed the first process, they might say, you know what, I want something completely different this time. And I think the time that you're going to have to put into people, I think is going to be the big thing, because you're going to be the one that sells the business. And by talking and building those relationships with people, I think that's how you'll keep the business as well. So I look forward to seeing how you get on. If there's any way in which I can include you in anything, I will do, Ethan. We mentioned about group chats, and you watched the video the other day. I am thinking of starting 1 or 2 more group chats for myself, and one of them I've had an idea for, and I think I touched with you. I'd love to get some brands in talking to each other, even if I end up leaving. But bringing a lot of people together and just dropping a little, and then walking out.
Walking out. Mic drop. Brands get together.
But I've got some ideas, and I'd like to sort of try and get you included if I can, because you seem like a good guy and someone that I'd like to keep in contact with. So, but no, thank you. I mean, we've gone to time's flown by. We're an hour and 11 minutes, less my 3 or 4 minute disappearance. So thank you for rescuing that. But no, thank you. If what we'll do just before we go, if you're okay, I'll see if anyone's got any more questions in the chat.
Absolutely.
If you've got any questions, Ethan, but get them in there now. We'll be live for probably another 5 minutes or so.
Let's see. I see one already, and I think that's coming from Bex. So I want to make sure to answer that one. I'm just scrolling up to see if there's any that I missed.
Yeah, I've got it there. I'll put it on the screen. There we go.
Okay. So that's a very the answer is no. I'll just be straightforward with you. I'd rather be straightforward than lie about it. So I don't name it. I leave it as moi. The reason I leave it as moi is because honestly, it's branding. There's a lot of companies, like I said, that offer bespoke fragrances. They allow you to name it. They even allow you to customize the bottle. Not to be mean to the clients, but I don't want you to name it, because I want you to be able to just say this is moi. Like that was kind of that's how the name came about, was the idea of people being able to ask, what are you wearing? And you being able to say it's moi. It's technically like still my brand, and I want you to be able to push that. But it's also, that's kind of where the name came from. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And you know what? You don't want to get into all sorts of things. You're creating a fragrance for somebody, and then they pick something that's already been used and things like that. It could be quite difficult, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I understand.
What I might allow people to do, and this is more along the lines of if people name it, and it might help me actually 1,000, is allow people to, when you have your basically like your what's the name, your I guess like your loyalty membership or whatever it is. When you subscribe, it's automatic. So everyone gets, like I said, like an account where they are able to get cash back for their referrals. But the idea behind it is I might let you name it online so that I can go to your account, and when someone orders, hey, I want to get the Tony Spring 2021, you might be telling people that you're calling it I don't know, let's call it whatever you'd like to call it. We'll call it, I don't know. The first thing that comes to my mind for some reason is razor. I don't have a razor around me, but I did just shave. So maybe that's why. Well, let's say it was razor. And it just makes it easier for me to go, okay, cool, they want the Tony razor, rather than being like, hey, they want the Tony Spring 2019, blah, 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 with these notes in it. I can just look up the name that you've given for it and find it. So I might allow that, but it won't be on the bottle. That I can tell you for sure. Just in terms of production, in terms of cost, I'm already finding even just keeping Medellin. Yes. Tony's Medellin. In terms of cost, I think it would be awesome. I would love to give people the opportunity to like customize their bottles, but it's insanely expensive to offer that unless I have my own factory, and I don't plan on being I don't plan on going that deep into building out the fragrance company. Maybe I don't know, but that just doesn't sound like something I'm interested in. So
there we go. I got another one.
okay, I see that. Very good question. Another brand. So I know that 4160 Tuesdays, she does that for people. She will offer a brand and she does it for like $10,000, but she does it for not just fragrance brands. She does it for any brand. I definitely would consider doing that, but at a very hefty price and probably with a lot of royalties. Only because, if Chanel comes to me and is like, hey, we want to have our own moi, which sounds weird to me because they already have their own moi, which is Chanel. But if they had theirs, I would definitely charge Chanel a royalty fee for every bottle sold, just as much as I get as I give out commissions. It's a larger brand that's taking on my brand. I'm assuming it's a larger brand. It might not be, but definitely would make one. I'd be interested. I just have to get into the discussion a little deeper and figure out what it is that they wanted.
And they're great people to work with, by the way, Ethan. So you picked a good one out there.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, cruelty free. I was looking for that one. I was like, I swear someone asked about cruelty free. I don't test on animals, so that's good. I test on humans, like myself. No, I just test on me, honestly. I'm not using anything. Everything that I get in is cruelty free, and I do that for two reasons. I am not by any means a licensed perfumer or I didn't go to school for this. This is something that I'm learning still, and I'm very open to people about that. I have a lot of people that are like, yo, I love the smell, but it wasn't fully what I wanted. And I give you a couple options. I say, hey, I can either send you your money back because I'm not going to take your money for something you didn't enjoy, or we can go back to the drawing board and build something new. So everything that I get in for this specific reason is cruelty free, because if it's already been tested, I don't have to worry about testing it. So the answer is, it's not a main focus of mine. It is a focus in a way, but yes, I am cruelty free.
There we go. So you see that from Wayne. That's even cool. I love that. So what are you wearing? What
am I wearing right now? I'll be honest again. I'm a little bit hungover from a birthday party yesterday, so I'm not wearing anything. I just hopped out the shower and was like, "Let me get on the call." So I'm not wearing anything. If I was going to wear something, it'd probably be that Versace Eau Fresh, or one of my own fragrances that I built recently. It's just a bit too early to wear the one that I built. I built one, and I'm open to talking about what's in it. It's leather. There is, Jesus, I'm blanking on it. There's leather, Pomarosa, bay rum, cedar. It's got a little bit of cinnamon in it, and then bergamot. And it's my kind of go-to at this point if I want to go out and just enjoy a night out. So I might have a little bit of residue from that leather still on me, because that tends to stick to my skin, but not wearing anything.
Sounds good. Beck's question there.
All right. If I made something for someone, turn out to be super bomb. So yes, awesome question. This is something that's popped up from everybody. I am, when I get my first year done, going to take, just like I said, I'll have a collection of classics, and I'll have my 6. I want to take 2, or I guess it'd be technically 3, 1 males, 1 unisex, and 1 females that I absolutely loved, and I'm going to sell them at mass. And you, if you are the lucky person to get selected, will get a commission for every bottle that's sold. My investors may be mad about it in the future. I'll probably have a lot of people pissed, like, you're taking a 10% loss on every bottle that you make and sell. But to be honest, I really do value the idea of thinking this is your formula and this is your fragrance. So I would reach out to you, even if I'm a major brand at that point, and say, hey, it's your lucky day. do you want to make $100,000 this year and have your fragrance license? And that's kind of the mindset that I want to go into it with is, like I said, being true to the community. So the answer is yes, I would sell it, but you would have every permission and every royalty that you could ever imagine.
Good answer. Great question, Bess. Jonathan's asked another one there as well.
How will you form it? So I keep all the formulas written down, and I also put them into basically, currently it's an Excel. Excel will only last for so long, but I keep them written down and put into like an Excel document. So I know what goes in it. I keep track of percentages. I keep track of, if you had 17% of perfumers alcohol and we're calling it a eau de toilette, I have those numbers written down and I keep track of them per person. So I missed there was two parts to that question, I feel like. By number. Okay. So for me right now, it's by name. So you give your name to me still. I have your email when you sign up. So that's kind of how I've got everything distinguished. I send you a follow-up email that also has basically that list of ingredients in it, just to clarify with you, hey, we talked about this on the call. Is this what we're still going with? If you have any changes, let's talk about it. So that's kind of how I've kept up with it till now.
And I think that's, Jonathan, I think you sort of touched or hinted at how you will organise it with Tony Spring 2021, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's per quarter, you're then going to move on to the next one, and then it'd be Tony Summer 2021. So it's a good way of sort of keeping track of what you've done. So then will there be an actual label, someone said, for the fragrance?
Like on the bottle?
Yeah.
Yes. So these are just like, these were the ones that I sent to friends and family who were like, hey, I want to test it. I'll be getting the reason launch is pushed off as a heads up. I'm taking pre-orders. I forgot to even say this. So I'm taking pre-orders. That's pretty important because people are like, when's my fragrance getting here? I'm taking pre-orders because my launch date is probably somewhere around, it got pushed back a little bit because I realized how long it takes to get some of the stuff in, probably mid-April. I'm hoping, we'll see. If I can get all my bottles in by the end of March, I might be able to launch a little sooner. But they will have a label on them. So they'll have what I'm looking at. I should get in about 10 days, I should get my first trial bottle in from the company that I'm looking to basically build with. And it'll have my logo on it. It won't say anything about what, like if it's a eau de parfum or anything like that. It will say that in the box that you receive. That kind of talks about what your fragrance is and things like that, but it won't particularly say it on the bottle at all. So as a consumer, one thing that I've kind of gotten an idea about that might be a bit of a problem is if everyone gets the exact same bottle and it all says moi on it and it doesn't say a name or anything like that, there might be an issue with you go into your fragrance collection and you don't know what you're putting on because you can't quickly distinguish it.
Let's say I've got 4 quarters worth of fragrance there with no label on. Yeah, it could be a problem.
So that's one thing I'm working through in my brain is how can I offer that? A QR code on the bottle. That wouldn't be a bad idea.
There you go. Write that down quick.
Yeah, right, right. Because look, I've got my book. I'm writing things like that down. I think I know you'll get a QR code that comes with the box. I haven't figured out how I want to do that because if everything's custom, I can't custom print a QR code for everybody's bottle, and I can't custom print a name for everybody's bottle because I have to buy the bottles in bulk. So I'm really not struggling. I wouldn't call it too much of a struggle. It's still pretty early. But I think my idea is that I will give you, it may sound tacky, but it might become more of a artist's, I guess, like signature, where I will write the name of your fragrance on a sticker. And I'll just get stickers that come inside of your packet, because you'll get like a full, I'm actually trying to do this with the luxury mindset. You'll get like an actual box, and this box will be like a shoebox size. I want the experience of opening it up to be just like you're buying a Rolex. I want that feeling to be there. And even beyond a Rolex, I'm thinking like a niche brand, watch company where you're opening it and unboxing it. So I think I'll provide maybe like a sticker where you can slap your sticker on and it'll have the name, and it may be handwritten, but it'll be, you know, the signature of your perfumer who made it, and then you'll know which perfume is which. But I just feel like that could be a bit tacky, so we'll see.
No, okay, you'll get it right before launch, I'm sure. So launch is meant to be, we discussed this, launch hasn't happened yet, people. It's Ethan's going to start talking to people as of now, so you can fill in the Google document and start the process. Heather's just filled it in, she said as well, and Heather's based in America, so definitely someone you can get it to. Which is great.
Awesome, awesome. Any other questions on here? Let's see.
There we go.
Okay, so yes, it will be an authenticity card. You will have one of those. That authenticity card will be my signature, or right now will be my signature. In the future, it'll be your perfumer signature. That authenticity card on the back will have, what do you call it? We'll have the QR code that I was mentioning. So why not simply number the bottles or formula? Ah, that would be kind of cool. This is Jonathan 1, and this is Jonathan 2. I like that. That's actually not a bad idea. And then I can mass produce. Let me write that down. Because I can mass produce bottles and have just a 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it goes up to 8 basically. Because every 2 years, like I mentioned, I take your formulas, I throw them out, so they're exclusive to you. So you can only have up to 8, I guess technically. If you haven't finished your 1 by the time it's time to go around for the second round of 1, it's that's actually not a bad idea. I hear people saying, like, I like that, Jonathan, the idea of numbering the bottles, contributing to the value of them becoming more valuable. Someone said that to me a while back about one of the first people to buy my fragrances was upset. He goes, Ethan, I wanted to be person number 1. And I said, well, person number 1 didn't even fill out the form. Unfortunately, and he liked it. He enjoyed his fragrance, but I didn't even have a form when person number 1 came. So I do like the idea, because he was like, I would have paid you to be your first customer. I would have paid you extra. And I'm like, I get that, but I don't need that. So maybe I keep hearing that. And that's something to take into account, is like numbering the bottles, or even telling people, hey, this is your customer number 3000, or customer number 5, or customer number 2. And that definitely comes as a value to like the customer of like, I was one of the first people to get it.
Yeah, the Wayne's just running away with ideas of what he wants to create already, and that's the idea. And you know what? That's the same process I've gone through, and you start thinking of things, and I'm really excited with the notes I've picked and what Ethan comes up with. So that's part of the excitement of this. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Rush, thanks for joining. But he loves his New York intense.
Yep. I see that. I like the what do you call it? You've got the Nicolas New York Intense, you've got the Shalimar, and like I think that to me is going to be my next big leap. Is I need to, if I'm going to be a future perfumer, and I don't know how long I'll be actually making the fragrances, because I'm just concerned that down the road, especially working with the fragrance community, that I won't live up to as not like a traditionally trained perfumer. I'm worried that I won't live up to the expectation. So I'd rather hire someone down the road to take over that. But I love right now the idea of me going to like these fragrance shops and really getting involved in what's out there, because there's so many different fragrances. I hear so many people coming in saying, I wear this, I wear that, and using Fragdicted to get the like keynotes. That's one thing. You know, I can make up in my brain what I think it smells like using Fragdicted. But there's nothing like being able, when someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I want a fragrance like Bleu de Chanel. I own Bleu de Chanel. I know exactly what it smells like. So that to me is a definite next step that I need to do. Rose, the answer to that is, honestly, it's been 4 months. It's been about 4 months now of me tinkering around and building stuff. I think I started I started selling stuff about 2 months ago was when I started. So the process, I'm getting a lot of questions now. I see that. So the process, basically you go to either my Instagram or my website. My Instagram is Moi Fragrances, so MOI Fragrances. And you go there, there's a link in my bio. There's a pre-order form right now. It basically allows you to build a fragrance. You get the high level information basically completed. After that, I set up some kind of a call or a 15-minute basically like interview to figure out what the actual accords and notes are that we're going to put into it. And then I write that down. Right now, I'm just taking them down as like pre-orders. I think I told you this, Tony. For people that are ordering fragrances, I'm doing a $40 deposit because I have to go and get the fragrance oil. I have to get the bottles, all that stuff still. So I'm taking a $40 deposit basically after the call. And that locks you in. And then when we launch, there will be an additional $40 charge that locks you in for the full subscription.
There we go. So yeah, just quickly, Claire, just so you have an idea, Ethan contacted me. I filled a form in, a web form. It got questions like, what do you think you want in a fragrance? Lots of great questions. You answer those questions. You have a call. I had a video call with Ethan personally, and we discussed what I like in a fragrance. Ethan will build that on a subscription basis. He's already said this is $80 per quarter, so not overly priced at all. You'll get one bottle per quarter, a 30 ml bottle of, and it doesn't matter the concentration you'll discuss with each other. So it could be an EDT, an EDP, or possibly even an extrait. I think we'll discuss that. But the idea is $80 per quarter, and you'll get a new fragrance in the post based on what you've designed with Ethan, with the notes that you would like to see in a fragrance. So Ethan will be building those. He's very, very new to this himself, but obviously he's trying to immerse himself in the fragrance world at the moment and get this business off the ground. So there we go. I hope I summed that up pretty quickly and pretty well.
Bex, that's my goal. If you like Tony's, I'll try to make you one next. And then to Jonathan, one thing I definitely am avoiding. I have people that reach out to me. The guy that wanted to basically pay me to be my first customer, he goes, I want you to remake me Creed from Aventus, the Aventus from Creed. And I said, look, man, I don't know what Aventus, I don't know what they put in there. Like, I can look up the notes. I don't know how they did it. I can go and get and I'm also probably not going to go out of my way to go buy a bottle of Creed to go and figure out, not right now, at least. It's a hefty investment to make one fragrance per person. I'm avoiding building clones. I tell people, hey, I'd love to build you a custom fragrance. I don't want to build you another Chanel Bleu or another Sauvage. Like, I'm here to build you something that tells your story. If you wanted Sauvage, you can just go get Sauvage. Like, I don't want to, and I mean no offense by it. It's just, why would you're probably going to get a lesser quality fragrance from me than if you go and get the exact thing that you're looking for, because it's a replica. It's not me sitting down and, they've got people working with raw materials around their offices, and I don't know how they're making their raw materials or what they're doing. So I have no clue, what the percentages of concentration of even the oils are. I just know what's in them. I can look up, hey, I know for a fact in Aventus there's ambergris, because he's asking me to rebuild him something like ambergris. And my question goes, I'll do it if that's what you want. I'm just concerned that if I do those, you'll be more upset that it doesn't smell exactly how you want it to smell than if I build you something that's custom.
And you can recommend someone like that. You can go and buy a million different versions of Aventus anyway.
Exactly.
For cheaper than what you're building. You might as well have something custom for that money. Because where else, Claire's put great price for customers, then it is. I hadn't got into this with Ethan before I'd even done this live. So Ethan could have come up and said it's $300 per quarter, and I'm straight away I'm live with Ethan thinking, God, that's expensive. But this is awkward. $80 though is very reasonable, I think too.
Mm-hmm.
CJ, I would like to think someone signs up, subscribes, maybe not so much in the beginning stage, but eventually they talk with Ethan, he builds their scent, puts in a computer-based system.
Yes, I do that. And I do put, my computer-based system right now. Oh, okay. There's more. Then that computer system assigns digital QR code for that person. They could say, like in their phone, like, yes, you're spot on. That's literally exactly what I'm doing. So I'm doing it all by hand right now. I'm trying to find a company to take that process over because it's very, I don't have a good way of making sure that I know which QR code goes to which name. And there's a QR code limit on some of these sites that you can have for how many QR codes you basically can run. But the idea is that I want it to be a digital card. I say that I think on, no, I didn't say it on my website, but I've talked to a couple people about it, and they're like, well, how would I very quickly be able to, get this fragrance sold because some people, they're going to buy the fragrances because they're salesmen. And that's what they want to do. They want to have a line without having to pay for the production costs. And even if it's just an extra $10 for them, they may go out of their way to sell 100 just to make $1,000. And that might be like a side gig for them. So they're like, how can I very quickly get my my QR code up? And I said, well, if I can find a way to build a digital wallet card, that'd be awesome. Then you can just scan the QR code that comes in your authenticity card. It adds the card to your phone. And then from there forward, whenever somebody wants your fragrance, you're able to pull up that card and it'll say the different fragrances that you've ordered. And like I said, with you being able to name them, you can go, oh, okay, you can name it in your system. And for me, it might just pop up as this is, Tony 2019 spring. But for you, when you're showing it to people, it's like, yo, this is my Medellin and this is my razor. And they can scan the different codes for those.
Yeah, we touched on this earlier, Claire. Sorry, he's going to be working away.
Yeah.
So he's quite happy to take the pre-orders. He's going to figure it out and work out how he can do this. He said to me that he's going to get my fragrance over to me by hook or by crook. He's going to look up the way he can do this and get it over to me. Definitely out at the moment.
The big breakthrough I had recently, which was nice, but they didn't follow up with me. DHL gave me a call. I signed up for like a business account with them, and I requested dangerous goods permissions for shipping. And it's no worries about repeating because I didn't go into this much detail on it. So I applied for dangerous goods shipping requirements to be met. And then I also applied for a known shippers to be entered in the known shippers system. So those two systems you have to do to ship fragrances abroad because they're classed as they're designated as class 3 explosives because they're 90% alcohol. So they could literally blow a plane up when they're under pressure. When they're under pressure inside of a plane. So the majority of the shipping has to be done either by boat or by ground. And I know the prices for shipping it right now. I went by UPS, or not UPS. I went by FedEx is who was offering that they would ship it. They said to get it to, I already had a client from the UK, and I think I might have mentioned this to you, Tony. One of my pre-orders is one of my good friends from the UK. And so I told her, the shipping for it was over $100. And I couldn't take a loss like that this early, but I can definitely take losses like that after I've got the brand up and going. So nice to meet you too, Wayne. It was awesome.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah.
Look, we've gone like way over what we were going to say we were going to do, but like I said, time just flies and we can just continue. But we might have to do this again, Wayne, and see how you get, maybe have an update a bit later on and see how you're getting on, how things are going for you, etc. So we'll be keeping in touch, obviously. And I wish you all the best, mate. I really do. It's a great idea, and it's very unique, I think, offering this subscription-based service, especially with bespoke. And it's very reasonably priced. And if you can figure out a way to do this, which I know you're doing worldwide, or do it a bit more, just so it's not just the US. I think you'll have a good subscription basis all over.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll be seeing more of, I think, Ethan in Instagram and trying to talk to more people and interact with more people, just try and immerse himself in this community a little bit better. He's new to this. He's new to talking to the people that are in this community. But it's been great talking to you, Ethan. Thank you for coming on, mate. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, Tony. I enjoyed it. And I'm definitely going to be in contact with some of the people that were in the chat, just asking them questions about what they love, things like that. So this was awesome.
And Heather's already put the form in, so you'll be talking to Heather very soon anyway.
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
excellent. But
All
thank
right.
you for joining. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it.
For sure.
I will catch, if you stay there a moment, Ethan, but we'll say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much. It is a great concept, and I will look to bring you a stream, hopefully midweek, discovering another brand, which I'll talk to you about on Instagram soon. And you're going to see a little bit more of Ethan. He's approached some other influencers to roll this out and try and get his name out there a little bit. So you'll be seeing a little bit more of Ethan anyway. But thank you for joining us, everybody. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of Sunday. Take care of yourselves. See you later, all. Thank you.